Hello, all my crafty people out there. It is time for our weekly project. If you haven't been here before, my name is Stephanie and I upcycle clothing, generally items from my local stores, Thrifted. So we usually make either new clothes or accessories. And this week we have a thrifted pair of jeans, which I think this is one of the pair I probably got at Goodwill, so $4.99. And I cut them off a while back because I just needed a pair of jeans real quick. And I've been wearing them, but at this time I've decided they need to move on. So we're going to make them into something a little different. Not too extreme. We're making this a simple project, something you could zip up in a couple hours at home. Pretty simple, easy. So good old pair of, I think these are Levi's, boot cut, or they were. Anyway, and I found this skirt. It's big. It's kind of, it's like a satin. I'm sure it's probably some kind of polyester, but it is a nice satiny kind of fabric. And it's got little sequins at the front, at the bottom. And I think there's plenty enough here to do what we are going to be doing. And this was $4.99, and I believe it was at the Goodwill as well. But I might have gotten it on a dollar day. Not sure. So, if you like this kind of content, or if you want to give it a try and follow along, let me know what you think. Subscribe, like, and I'll catch y'all at the table. Okay, everybody, these are our two pieces, our skirt and our jeans. And if you haven't already guessed, we're going to be replacing the bottom half of our jeans with this skirt. Now, I have done some similar stuff, but I have not done it from this point, and I haven't done it with a simple piece of pre-constructed fabric like a skirt like this. So I think this is going to be super simple, an easy way to upcycle some of your old jeans, and maybe even use an old dress or skirt that you don't necessarily want to wear anymore, or like this one that's been stretched out, and reuse everything. Get another life out of them. And I want to, this is my safety pin right here. I want to cut from this far down, which is right above the knee. I don't want it to be super high, and I don't want to be too low down here. I want to go from the knee, right above the knee down. So I've binder clipped it, or clipped it with quilt clips. And this is going to be the last thing I cut. The reason being, I want to make sure that this pattern works. And fortunately, it's pretty much the same on the front and back. There's a little bit of discrepancy on the sides, but it's not drastic. So I am not concerned about that. And I really want this blue part to be at the top of the jean. And I do want it to be gathered, because I want this to flare out from all ends. I mean, from the whole bottom. So we have to concern ourselves with a couple of things. One, how much we want to cut, which I think, like I said, this is about where my mark is on my jeans. So I want to cut well above that. And the reason I think I want to do that is I want to hem this top when I cut it off, so I can fold it under, and I want to be able to gather this line. So when I put it on the jean, it's gathered up here like this, and it really flares down here. Now, of course, this is all of it. It would be in half like this. But, you know, that would be about what it would look like on the pants. This part would flare out. I think it's really pretty. And there's sparkles on one side. So we're going to have to make sure that we cut it and leave the non-sparkle side in the back. And we'll probably cut it down the middle here, so we'll have sparkles on each front. Otherwise, I would just use the seams. But since it's only sparkles on one side, we want to make sure we keep that on the front of both sides. So we'll be cutting it down the middle on both. First things first, I'm going to take off this elastic waistband so I can flatten this and get a good gauge and be able to cut it off properly. And then we'll work on hemming it, probably on the serger. I'll probably just serge a line and then fold it under, and then gathering it to put it on the leg. Like I said, I want to make this a nice, fun, easy project for the weekend. Okay, I folded my skirt in half like this, and I folded it with the front facing. I don't think it matters. The two sides seem to be perfectly even because they're meeting in here in the fold, and I pinned it down the side just to make sure I didn't move it too much, because what I want to do first, because it is kind of sulky, first thing I want to do is cut it the length I want it to be. And I'm thinking I'm going to give it a healthy little cut up here, and the reason being partly because I want to make sure that I have enough to do the hem and the gathering, because I kind of want the gathering to stand up on the outside of the jean, kind of like a finished edge, I guess. Anyway, I'm trying to make sure I'm pretty even here. I mean, it's not a perfect thing because it is rounded. So I want to cut maybe, I'm going to cut maybe about 3 inches up from the, actually maybe 2.5. Yeah. About 2.5 inches up from this line right here, the brown line. That should give us plenty enough for us to work with. And I want to measure once, measure twice, cut once. Don't want to leave myself short. Okay. And then I think what I'm going to do for this side, which would be cutting it in half, because remember we need the sparkles on both sides and it's only on the front of the skirt. I think what I will do is I'll just run my blade right up the edge, catching both of these fold lines, and that'll take care of it without me having to put scissors in the fold line. Okay, and that will give me 2 pieces. So just take my pins out here that I use to keep the fold line together, because the fold line is going to essentially be like the seam on the side of the jeans. Okay. Oop. Didn't quite cut that little teeny tiny thread. Boop. So now I have these 2 pretty panels, and I do think they're really pretty. The design and the fabric is pretty. And those are going to be what we change out the bottom of our legs for. So I'm going to go test sew on these samples here real quick to make sure that I'm going to be able to gather like I want and stitch like I want, and make any changes to the stitch length or the tension that I need to make sure this doesn't get all wrinklified. I just wanted to share something with y'all for a minute. In this particular project, and a lot of projects you'll probably have, you'll have some excess fabric. And so I went and ran all the tests on some excess fabric. First test, did it go through the serger well? Answer, yes. Went through the serger great and holds up. Second, how was my tension on my sewing machine, and did it seem to hold up well? Yes. Very nice. Third, can I press it? Yes, I can press it. My iron did not eat it up or melt it, so that's good. And fourth, I ran a gathering stitch in it to make sure that it would gather well. And it does. And it does fray. Most fabrics do. This one, honestly, doesn't as fray as bad as I thought it would. It will if it's, like if it's on the bias, it'll fray. But this was pretty straight and I didn't have a lot of problems. And of course, this will be serged when we turn it over before we gather it. So that shouldn't be a problem at all. I'll actually be gathering more of an edge like this, a finished edge. So I'm kind of excited. I think this fabric's going to do really well, even though it was questionable. But I wanted to tell y'all, anytime you get a chance to test out all your processes on your fabric before you start your project, it will help. Promise. Save you some steps. Okay, I just wanted to show you what we're kind of looking at from this point. We've got where we want to cut off our leg here at this safety pin. And we've got our flat panels now. So if we fold our panel in half, this is what the leg will look like. And it will be this, I've got plenty above the pin. But here's my thought. What I want to do is once I serge the end down here, I'm going to turn it under to be kind of a healthy, what I call a healthy hem. And the reason I want to do that is when I put the gathering stitch in there, I would like to capture the end of this this hem. So it's going to be, I want it to be encased, in other words. I don't want it to be something that would fold over and you'd see the raw edge, you know, or even the serged edge. So that's why that's so wide. What we're going to do first, though, before, again, we're still not cutting this. That's still on the back burner. We're going to go over to the serger and we're going to serge the top of our pants leg that's going to meet the jean. We're going to go ahead and hem that down. We're going to put the hem down. Then we're going to, right sides together, we're going to serge the leg together to make it a whole piece. And then we'll worry about putting that gathering stitch in here, because at that point we'll have the full leg to put on our jeans, and that'll be the time we want to adjust those gathers to meet the same width of the jeans on the leg. Okay, I've serged both the tops of my extended leg or flare, whatever we want to call it. And this is the part that I'm going to hem to give it a ruffled effect at the top where I'm connecting it to the jeans. And I want it to be pretty healthy as far as the ruffle goes. And I want this also to be captured inside so it doesn't ever give me any problems or fold up or whatever. I don't want it to be a problem. So I am actually going to fold it in. Now you could cut this shorter and you wouldn't have to fold it over so much, but I'm kind of liking the fold over just so it's secure. But I've figured out I want about 1 3/4 inches fold over. So I'm going to fold it over 1 3/4 inches, and then I am actually going to iron it down. And the best way to do this, for me at least, has always been to use the pins directly into, wait a minute, it's not quite there. There we go. Had to adjust my ruler again. Didn't have it set properly. So what I do is I take my pins and I put them directly into my board, because an ironing board's usually kind of fluffy. So, I mean, I've done something similar with, I don't know if you've ever seen a lace making board or lace shaping board. That's what I'm thinking of. Same process. Just pinning it down to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Makes it easier to iron. And That's what these glass head pins are great for. They're not going to melt. So once I get this pin down and ironed, then we'll go over to the machine and we will sew. I can't decide if we're going to sew a stitch or just our basting stitch that we're going to use to gather. I'm not sure. We will see. Okay, now that we have serged the top and folded it over for our hem, now we're just going to fold it right sides together, each individual piece, and we're going to serge down the side to close up the leg. That will give us the ability then to put a gathering stitch at the top so we can attach it to the pants. Okay, I'm going to run my gathering stitch around the top edge that's going to meet my jeans, and I'm going to lengthen my stitch to 3.5 millimeters, and that gives me plenty of pull for the gather. And I'm only running one stitch this time. This particular fabric seemed to work really well with just one stitch, so I think it's going to be okay. For all of us that like the two, it'll be okay. I'm going to run it all the way around, and then I'm on both of them, and then we'll go over to the table and figure out how they're going to attach to the leg and how much we need to cut off in that process. I want it a little bit longer than these jeans are, so I'm going to use that safety pin. That's what it was above my knee, and that's where I'm going to put my stitch line all the way across. Now the best way to do that in my mind is first to cut the pants off. Now I want to cut them off and leave a little bit of room down here for there to be something to sew onto, obviously. So I'm not going to go right up to the safety pin. I'm going to go right below the safety pin, probably about 1/2 inch. And I think I'm going to pin these together, make sure that they're nice and straight, make sure my cut off hem down here or cut off leg is straight and the sides are, and we will zip across there very carefully. I'll make sure that this is level like that, and then we're just going to use a good rotary cutter and cut right here, which again is about 1/2 inch away from the safety pin. Now, what I thought I would do with these jeans, just to prevent any kind of ravel, although they're actually a pretty good denim base, there's some stretch to them, but not a huge amount. I thought I might serge in the round and go around the legs. Now, I know I use the serger a lot, and I want to apologize for not recommending this, but I think you should know, if you don't have a serger, crank up that zigzag stitch on your machine. It will work too. It's just a matter of covering that edge well enough where it won't fray. And you can do that with a zigzag. The serger just makes it faster for me. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to mark it and cut it with my scissors, because the rotary cutter just struggles. So I'm just going to cut it with my scissors. Sorry, I had to go find my scissors. These bad boys, as big as they are, get lost in here. Now I could use my big electric ones, but I kind of want to be a little precise with this. So, I mean, they're precise, but these will work just fine. Even in these tough side seams. Okay, now we've got our jeans cut off. The damage is done. Let me go serge this edge, and then we'll attach the leg. Okay, y'all. Made a slight change of plans. I was going to put this on the outside like this, but with this gather and trying to maintain the gather and pin it blindly to this, even if I drew a line, That was a mess. So here's our new plan. We're going to turn it inside out. Traditional, I know, I'm sorry. And we're still going to have it gathered at the top because we have to in order to fit it to this. But this will give us the control we need to keep the gathers in a proper place and also to be able to see what we're sewing. So we are inserting the leg. So we have right side to right side. We are going to take our jorts here, because that's essentially what they are now. And we're going to use the seams to pin it down. And we are going to seam around just like normal, where the seam will be contained inside, and then you will see it. You won't see it obviously on the outside because we're going to contain it. So I am going to pin this here, get all the little gathers set up straight, and then we're going to go sew it. And I apologize for the change of plan, but I realized that just was going to be crazy blind. We've done it before, but we didn't have gathers to concern ourselves with. We did pleats or something that made it a little more easy than this. Or a little easier. I don't know if more easy. I don't think more easy is proper. Yeah, I don't think it is. So let me finish pinning this around. We'll go sew it and check out what it ends up looking like. Just a little design change. Okay, everybody. I'm actually pretty jazzed with the way they came out. I know originally I wanted the ruffle to be on the outside, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. Not to mention it was easier to put together, but I like the poofiness of it, the way it kind of jets out like that. I think it looks neater. This shirt seems to come in handy for just about everything. So, if you enjoyed the journey, if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, let me know what you think. And remember, this is your project. You can change it up any way you want, but it's a great way to upcycle an old skirt that you might still love, but you don't want to wear, and a pair of jeans that just need some jazzing up. You can do anything. You can add lace, you can add buttons, whatever you want. So have fun with it, and I will catch y'all on the flip side of our next project.